Shots of Victory. I'm Rocky, and Blake is not here. And we will be having a interview later in this podcast. But right now we'll be talking about our wrestling week review. So let's get into that first. So starting off with Raw, there was Rhea Ripley came out. She calls Liv out, but out comes Dominic Mysterio. He tries to plead to get back with her. Then we see Liv on the Tron. She talks about how she's gonna beat Rhea at SummerSlam and accepts her challenge. And yeah. So I'm guessing that Liv is gonna go with Dom and Rhea's probably gonna go with Jay. I'm not like a big fan of that, but I'm guessing that's what's gonna happen. So yeah. And then going into the first match of the night, Sheamus versus Bronson Reed. So Bronson Reed did not win the match. It was Sheamus. Sheamus then gets attacked by Pete Dunne after the match, when they were former teammates in the Brawling Brutes. And I guess this is Pete Dunne's heel turn since Tyler Bates is going to be out for a while, I hear it's like maybe a year, like end of 2024 maybe, which is pretty sad. I've really liked him as a character so far. So then next was our first women's match of the night, Zelina Vega versus Sonya Deville. Sonya Deville easily beats Zelina Vega in a pretty quick time. And then after the match, the new team of Sonya Deville, Shayna Baszler, and Zoe Stark beat her down, but out comes Lyra Valkyria and Casey 2 and stop the attack. And then next, it was a promo where Damian Priest comes out, and then Gunther, the ring general, comes out. And yeah, so Gunther was basically like dominating this promo, and he talks about how being raised on the streets is a choice, not a I don't know, it's like he's talking about how Damien's parents chose for him to live on the streets, while Gunther's parents chose for him to live luxuriously. While Damian Priest calls him a privileged scumbag, which was, I guess, a kind of good comeback to him. But I feel like Gunther dominated this promo over Damian Priest, which is kind of surprising, but kind of not, because Damian Priest's promo game has been like unbelievable over the past few weeks. And Gunther's has always been unbelievable, so it's not really a surprise that he's been dominating this rivalry so far. And then next was Braun Strowman versus Damian Priest. Damian Priest picks up the W because he kind of has to, since he's going to be facing Gunther for the title at SummerSlam. So yeah, and then Gunther tries to sneak attack at the end, but I think Damian Priest stands tall at the end. So yeah, pretty good match between Damian and Braun. Then Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark had a match against Katana Chance and Kane Carter. So then Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark picked up the W because they're trying to establish them as a pretty good faction, which I get, but I don't really like the new faction that much, but I might grow on them once they get used to them, but probably not. Next was Drew McIntyre's reinstatement. Adam Pearce comes out. He wants Drew to apologize to him. Drew does. He tells Drew to apologize to the two refs. Drew does not. He goes on a rant about how everybody's been against him. Adam Pearce tells him that he's not reinstated. Drew McIntyre is about to kick Adam Pearce's head off, but out comes Seth Rollins, saves Adam Pearce, and yeah. I could see this match obviously being a triple threat at SummerSlam or Bad Blood, but I really like this because I feel like that this rivalry has been like the best thing on Raw so far, and just like adding another top main eventer to this is just making it even better. And then we had a tape that was given to Pat McAfee on his show. It is shown, and it is of Eric Rowan. He has a very emotional promo about how he lost Luke Harper, then he lost Bray Wyatt, and like he's basically lost his entire family now, it feels like. and I've really liked that. I feel like he has had the best promo so far out of the group. I know we've only seen him and Bo Dallas, but I feel like those two were the ones we needed to see first because they were the closest with Bray, so they obviously had the best connections and the best promos, obviously, relating to the loss of him. And then next, we had Dominic Mysterio versus Jey Uso. Dominic Mysterio basically looked like he had the match in the bag, but then Jey Uso hits him with some move. Liv Morgan comes out, tries to help him, but then Rhea scares her off. This distracts Dom long enough for Jey to hit the spear on him. 1, 2, 3. Jey Uso wins the match, and yeah. And then in the back, Rhea tells Dom that she is not his, but he is hers. So yeah, she basically wants him still, but she does not like him saying that she is his, because she feels like that he isn't, that she is the one that should be owning him, not her owning her. Oh my gosh. Anyways, it was Chad Gable. He calls Bo Dallas out. And then Bo Dallas is coming out, and then we see the Creed brothers attack him from behind, drag him to the ring. So I guess we're getting the new American Alpha with the Creed brothers and Ivy Nile. They're beating Bo down, but he's just laughing. And then we see the Wyatt Six come out, and they just scare the Creed brothers and Chad Gable off. And they do a pose with Bo Dallas in the ring. And then in the main event, we have a title match: Ilya Dragunov versus Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn looked like he was again. It was a pretty good match, honestly. But then we see Braun Breaker just run out, spear everybody, and stand as tall as the episode ends. So pretty good segment. They're establishing that Braun is the big dude, which I really like because I've seen him always as that, and I think that if they keep booking him as that, then he will be the top main event star for a long time to come. So next we have NXT. So we start off with the Rascals versus Gallus, and the Rascals picked up the W, and Joe Hendry was on commentary for this match. And yeah, it was a pretty good match, honestly. I really liked it. And then next was Roxanne Perez comes out. She has a promo segment. Thea Hale then comes out. They have a promo segment together. Pretty good promo segment. Thea Hale then attacks Roxanne Perez and does some pretty good damage to her. But then, what's his name? He was in the Brawling Brutes. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about. Yeah. Then Javon Evans beats Brooks Jensen, after distraction, but because, Sean Spears comes out, distracts Brooks. Josh Briggs. He distracts Josh Briggs, and this distracts Brooks Jensen, which allows Javon Evans to take the lead and win the match. And after the match, Brooks Jensen attacks him since he's angry, and he demands a match against Josh Briggs next week, which will be a pretty good match, I'd say. Then next we had Ethan Page versus Dante Chen, since he didn't want to face Ora Mensa. So then he's facing he's facing Dante Chen. Pretty easy match. He beats him. Then after the match, Ora Mensa attacks him. I'm guessing there's some saying that for what's it called? It's like the summer. I don't know what it's called. Yeah, maybe a Great American Bash, I don't know. So yeah, next was Tatum Paxley versus Izzy Dame. Tatum Paxley gets the W over after some Wendy Chu distraction, as she is holding like a doll. So then Tatum Paxley puts the head back on the doll, and she takes it from Wendy Chu. And back in the back, Kalani Jordan talks to Tatum Paxley. Tatum Paxley then pulls out a doll of Kalani Jordan, so I'm guessing it's going to be Tatum Paxley versus Kalani Jordan soon, which it should be a pretty good feud, honestly. I really like that. So yeah, then we had Mo Vice versus AC Jane. Low Vice pretty easily handled JC Jane, and then after the match, Jasmine Nixon found Henley attack him. Soruka and Carmen Petrovic come in for the save, which I'm kind of okay with this. I'm just tired of all these trios women's matches. It's not that, oh my goodness, it's like everybody's having trios women's matches now. Which, why can't they have tag team women's matches? Because they never defend the women's tag team titles. Maybe they should just make a women's trios belt, not a women's tag team belt. That would honestly do more good. And then, the OC beat Out the Mud in a 6-person intergender tag team match where, yeah, it was a pretty good match, honestly. I think Carl Anderson pinned, was it Anderson? It was either Anderson or Gallows pinned Bronco. So, yeah, it was a pretty good match. Then it was Obafemi versus Duke Hudson in the main event for the NXT North American Championship, where Obafemi, of course, retains his title against Duke Hudson, and yeah, it was a pretty good match, honestly. Probably the match of the night. So yeah, it was pretty good for the show. It was a pretty good show overall. Then we go to Smackdown. So the show started out with Cody Rhodes having a promo about how the Bloodline's just been doing everything, and just like how they're trying to rule SmackDown, but they aren't like the new good Bloodline like the old one was. Then A-Town Down Under comes out. They talk about how it's all Cody Rhodes' fault that they got beat up last week since they can't handle the Bloodline. So then they attack him. Then Terrence Crawford gives him a chair. He beats down A-Town Down Under, demands a match for later in the night, so it's going to be the main event. Which is a pretty good segment, honestly. I really like that segment. Then we had Andrade versus Carmelo Hayes. Andrade picks up the W in a really good match. I would say this is match of the night. 100% match of the night. It was like, these two deserve so much more TV time, but they just don't get it, and they're like the best performance on the show. I just really think that they should get more TV time. These two are like two of the best performances on SmackDown, 100%. And then Nia Jax and Bayley had like a backstage promo segment where they're both separated on like cameras. I don't really like these promos. I really like when they're in the ring or backstage together, because I don't really like, oh, they're separated, oh my goodness, there's just gonna be no brawl and no interference, because I really just don't like that premise, because it just seems like forced. Then next was Bianca Belair versus Chelsea Green. Bianca Belair easily squashes Chelsea Green, which isn't much of a surprise since Bianca Belair is just like her, basically. And then after the match, Bianca and Jade get called out by the women's tag team champions on the Titantron. Which I'm kind of digging this feud, giving the women's tag team titles more spotlight, which is always a good thing. And then next was Logan Paul and LA Knight had a United States contract signing, where I feel like Logan Paul really cooked LA Knight on this, because, well, I get that LA Knight can't bring up Logan's really bad stuff, but he could still do some bad stuff to him, which he really wasn't able to. And Logan Paul really cooked him during this, like calling him a tanned rock impersonator. Yeah, and then Logan actually signs the contract, and yeah, then he tries to attack LA Knight from behind, but LA Knight stands on top, but Logan gets out of there before he can his finisher on him. So yeah, just like a normal Logan Paul segment, basically. Him owning everybody on the mic, and just a sneaky attack that fails. So yeah. And then next it was Michin versus Tiffany Stratton, where during the match, Bayley attacks Nia Jax and destroys Tiffany's Money in the Bank briefcase, which distracts her long enough for Michin to get the roll up and get the W over her. Which I really like that Mia Yim is getting more screen time, but I really think that she should just go back to name Mia Yim and not Michin. Michin is such a dumb name. I like that she's getting some TV time since she is a really good wrestler, though. Then we had the main event. Kevin Owens was Cody Rhodes' surprise tag team partner. So it was Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes versus A-Town Down Under, where Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes obviously got the W. And yeah. And then after the match, we obviously see the bloodline because of the story that's going on between them. They take out Kevin Owens with the chair, like to the ring post, which is the same spot from TNA that Jeff Hardy got taken out from, which I thought was pretty cool. And yeah, they made Cody Rhodes watch. So now that we're done with SmackDown, we're going to get on to TNA Slammiversary. So then the first match of the show was Matt Hardy versus JDC, Johnny Dango Curtis. And Matt Hardy beat Johnny Dango Curtis in a pretty good match, I would say. It was a pretty good match. The story's been enticing, but I don't really see why Matt Hardy, they had this match on Slammiversary. I get why they had this match on Slammiversary, but I just think it should have been longer because I feel like it was only like 7 minutes. So yeah. Then anyway, the next match was ABC versus the System for the TNA World Tag Team Championships, where ABC won the Tag Team Championships from the System in a really good match. I feel like that this match could have gone just like 1 or 2 minutes longer and it would have been a perfect match, honestly. I really like the quality of this match. It was one of my favorite matches of the night. And I was kind of sad that the System lost because I'm a really fan of Brian Myers. So next we had Mike Santana versus Jake something. I'm not really aware of this rivalry, but Mike Santana beat Jake something. It was an okay match. I would say it was one of the not as good matches of the night. But yeah, Mike Santana won over Jake something. It was an okay match, I would say. Then we had the Rascals versus No Quarter Catch Crew, which is TNA and NXT versus NXT, which I'm a really big fan of. Seeing NXT on a TNA pay-per-view is really a big step from where we've been in the Vince era, where we saw the Rascals beat No Quarter Catch Crew after Osborne couldn't decide what to do. So yeah, it really cost them the match, and the Rascals picked up the W, which they have had a lot of steam going on. So I could see him facing ABC coming up for the TNA World Tag Team Championships. So then we had PCO versus AJ Francis for the Digital Media Championship and the Canadian International Heavyweight Championship, which I've seen a lot of this feud, but I'll say this is my second favorite match of the night, honestly. I was a really big fan of it, and seeing PCO beat AJ Francis for the titles was a really good segment, honestly, and I really liked that they were pushing PCO higher into the card. So next we had Jordynne Grace versus Ash by Elegance, where Jordynne Grace retained her TNA Knockouts Women's Championship against Ash by Elegance. Okay match. It was not as good as some of the matches on the card, but it was still good. So yeah. And then we had Speedball Mike Bailey versus Mustafa Ali, and for the TNA X Division Championship, where Speedball Mike Bailey picked up the W, and yeah, he's your new TNA X Division champion. Which we saw a spot where the ref that screwed Bret Hart. Shoot, what's his name? I'm gonna look really quick. What was his name? Earl Hebner. So yeah, Earl Hebner comes out because the ref knocks out. He's about to screw Mike Speedball Bailey, and but he doesn't. And then Speedball locks in the sharpshooter on Mustafa Ali. Mustafa Ali taps, and yeah, Mike Speedball Bailey is your new TNA X Division champion. So then we are on to the main event, where it was Moose versus Steve Macklin versus Josh Alexander versus Joe Hendry versus Frankie Kazarian versus Nick Nemeth, where it was an elimination match for the TNA World Championship, where the first pinfall came where Moose pinned Steve Macklin after a spear. Then a little bit of time goes along, and we see Moose get pinned by Joe Hendry after a standing ovation. Then we see Josh Alexander. He low blows Joe Hendry, which really upset the fans there. Hits his finisher and pins Joe Hendry. So it was down to 3. And then Nick Nemeth comes out and hits a super kick on Josh Alexander and pins Josh Alexander. Nick Nemeth and Frankie Kazarian are the only 2 left remaining. And Nick Nemeth hits the danger zone to pick up the W and is your new TNA World Champion, which I really like because I've always been a big Nick Nemeth fan, formerly known as Dolph Ziggler in the WWE, which I could see a future collaboration happening between them, which would really be exciting, honestly. So welcome to the interview segment. I'm with Justin Anderson. So our first question, let's start off with introducing you to the audience. Can you tell us a little bit about what position you play, some of your statistics, and a little bit about yourself?
So my name is Justin Anderson, and I played linebacker for Carroll High School for 3 years. I loved it there. I had over 100 tackles in my career, throwing a few sacks in there, over 5 picks as well. It was a fun time at Carroll High School.
Mm-hmm. Why did you start football, and how long have you been playing?
I started football because I felt like that was the sport that I grew up around the most. My dad played football,
mm-hmm.
Professionally, so it was just something I grew up around. And yeah, that's pretty much it. My dad was really big.
Yeah. What team did he play for?
Well, he played for a semi-pro team in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was called the Drillers.
Yeah.
So it was it wasn't NFL or anything like that, but it was just I got to see my dad play ball, so it was just
yeah.
Yeah.
The next question: did you play any other positions when you were younger?
Yeah, I played tight end for my whole football career until sophomore year of high school. Carroll changed me to linebacker, and I flourished in that position too. It was a crazy switch though.
Yeah. Do you have any role model that you would credit your play style after?
I'd probably say I watched a lot of Greg Olsen growing up for the tight end aspect.
Yeah.
I love Greg Olsen. I watched him, do a lot of moves for Panthers. Panthers are my favorite team.
Yeah.
But for linebacker, I'd probably say I kind of just had to go out there and play. I didn't really have a role model for linebacker, but it's funny because my dad did play linebacker semi-pro, so he kind of taught me some things during high school. So I would say, if anybody, him for linebacker.
Yeah. So what is the most important thing for on-field success that happens off the field?
Training. A lot of training is put in. Some people are blessed with natural talent,
mm-hmm.
But I was kind of one of them. I was a good ball player, but when I got into training is when I really saw differences on the field.
So, what offers have you gotten from colleges, and have you narrowed it down yet?
Yeah. So in my time of playing in my high school career, I ended up getting five Division I offers, and I did recently just get a NAIA from Indiana Wesleyan. But during that time, it was Western Michigan, Air Force, Lindenwood, Valparaiso, and I had another PWO from Eastern Michigan. So, but as we'll probably talk later in the interview, my ACL tear,
mm-hmm.
It did impact what offers stayed.
Yeah.
But I feel like I am proud of what I earned during my high school career.
Yeah. So, why did you choose Indiana Wesleyan?
So it narrowed down to I wanted to have a great rebound option.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's transfer portals out now.
Yeah.
And I want to use that to my fullest capability. So I chose a school where I could get on the field.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good school. They play ball. They play good ball. They win. So
mm-hmm.
I just chose there.
Yeah. So as you mentioned earlier, you had an ACL tear this last season. Did this teach you any lessons about football and to be a better player?
Yes, it told me just not to take anything for granted. Like some practices, I would go out there. I don't want to practice today, man. I'm not trying to do this. But I feel like now I would love to practice. I would love to go practice, but I couldn't forever because of physical
Mm-hmm.
therapy and stuff. But thank God I'm back to my capability, and I'll go to college soon.
Yeah.
Uh,
So, which weaknesses do you see in yourself that you want to like improve on to become a better player?
so um, I'd probably say explosiveness, especially with this
Mm-hmm.
left leg now. Since I tore it,
Mm-hmm.
but just really explosiveness. I'm working on that as we talk. But yeah, I'm really just trying to get back to where I was.
So, how do you keep yourself and your teammates feeling good and not burn out after a long, grueling season?
It's really just what we worked for,
Mm-hmm.
like putting in all that work. Now we're really here, like for the playoffs and such that things of that sort. It's really just like we worked all this long, like you said, gruesome seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really just all this work we put in for the golden trophy.
So what does your usual pregame routine look like, and how does it change between every game?
I would usually just go to my buddy Braden Steely's.
Mm-hmm.
We would just hang out. We would eat our pregame sandwiches, pregame Subway sandwiches,
Yeah.
um, and we would just kind of hang out. We wouldn't do too much talking. We wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
do too much. We would just chill.
Mm-hmm.
And then we would go play ball. So
Yeah. So how do you try to help your teammates improve on themselves?
I try to keep it joyful. I try to keep it like not a lot serious.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of crack some jokes here and there, and just like keep their head like, yes, we're playing, we're about to go play, but have some fun as well.
Mm-hmm. Um, what is something that you've been working on in this off season that you've struggled with in the past?
Hmm. I'd probably say strength. I've been working on a lot of my strength because I couldn't really do anything else
Mm-hmm.
during my physical therapy stuff. So, but during a lot of my high school, I was kind of undersized for a linebacker, and even for a tight end per se. So,
Yeah. So, if you had a choice of which team you were drafted to in the NFL, if you make it, which team would it be?
I would love to get drafted by the Panthers. I would love, even though we're not too hot right now, we're not too good, but I would love to get drafted.
What advice would you give to children who are interested in joining football?
Uh, I would just say, do it. Don't be scared on anything. Like, don't be scared of getting hurt. If you play scared, you end up getting hurt. So,
Mm-hmm.
just go out there and have fun. Football's a fun sport.
How do you balance your football life and your personal life?
Uh, it comes to a point where football is like a job when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
So you really just have to balance it to where if you do you want to work all the time or do you want to have some off days?
Mm-hmm.
You just gotta you should just balance it yourself. See, me personally, I do like 4 days a week,
Mm-hmm.
but during college, who knows what that would be.
Yeah. What do you think are the most important things to consider when trying to build teamwork with your teammates?
Probably like not like blaming each other for anything, like any problems or anything. Just you gotta stay positive.
Mm-hmm.
Teamwork is very vital.
So, how do you keep yourself motivated during the off season to keep working out and getting better?
I'd probably just say during the off season it's time to for offers.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of offers, a lot of camps going on. So that really just kept me motivated to keep going. Like I'm going to camps on weekends. I just gotta stay polished because of those
Yeah.
camps and things like that.
Do you have any alternate plans if your football career does not pan out?
Yes, actually, my father he does modular homes. It's a it's a little business that he has. It's moving homes. Like you can hook them up on big trucks and they can haul them around places. And he has his own spot for that. So I would probably just help him with that.
Okay, that's a pretty good plan.
Right on.
How do you try to keep yourself mentally in check when you face criticism and negativity?
Ooh. I'll probably just say like, well, I really do say to myself, like they're not me. They're
Mm-hmm.
not. They didn't do what I do to have the stuff that I had. So it's really just like let them talk. That's really what I said.
Yeah. So, what are your core values when it comes to football?
Having fun is really one, cause like I've seen a lot of my teammates from middle school and stuff like that. They just never had fun with football, and now they're not playing ball anymore or anything, something like that. So like football can affect people's mental. Sports can affect people's mental. So having fun with it is very important to me.
How do you stay humble when it comes to success and recognition?
It's probably I'd probably say it's because I had to actually like I had a great mentor in Jay Muhammad,
Mm-hmm.
for traction and athletic performance. He really was a great help. So I wasn't one of those guys that started getting offers when I was in eighth grade and stuff like that.
Yeah.
To some of these kids, but I probably say it was that I had to wait my turn.
So, what goals do you have for yourself for the future?
I have a goal to get back into the D1 division. I'm going to NAI right now, but my goal is to, in a year or two, or however long it takes, it could be 3 years, get my film out there and try to hit the transfer portal and get picked up.
How many hours a week do you practice?
I'll probably say around roughly like 4 hours probably.
Okay.
It's not too much at all, because most of my training sessions are only like 45 minutes, but it's like it's not a lot of breaks. It's 45 minutes.
Yeah. Is there anything else you would like to cover that we haven't talked about?
I'd probably say for kids out there who are doubting themselves on anything, on like personal things or athletic things, just keep going. Keep going. You can always train. There's always training.
Yeah.
If you're not confident in athletic abilities or anything like that, training. I was doubted a long time. I got my first offer going into senior year. So I waited my turn. A lot of my buddies were getting offers freshman year. I was just waiting though. Just wait your turn. You don't have to rush anything.
So, thank you for your time, and that will be the end of this episode. I really hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.